Hello everybody, this is Frogman and welcome back to Manufactio. It's going to be episode 33 today. In the last episode we got the duplicator up and running and we're using it to craft yellow science, and that bin is now nice and full, so that's awesome. And the reactor of course is off because he has his redstone control set up on him finally, so this has been working pretty well. I even got to the point where we got the assembler for the old one out. I just need to finish doing a little bit of cleaning up here, but yeah, it did work and it's doing what I want it to do. And I don't know why this does this, but whatever, it's no big deal. It's functioning. All right, there has been a little bit of a revelation in a recent messing around in a test world as far as playing with certain functions. So today we're going to kind of take a step back and look at something that I probably should have looked at, I don't know, about the time we started hauling the pollution from all of these buildings into the main greenhouse, which is there is a way to sort and utilize pollution in a different fashion. As we notice, this is empty. It's empty because I've been kind of doing a little bit of experimentation in this building. So let's take a look at this real quick. This is the bottom section where we sort, where we recycle the pollution back into the four sides. And I want to make sure that he is off. I have gone and done a little bit of goofing around. And it's been known for a long time that you can collect the pollution, and it's going to be kind of loud in here, but you can collect the pollution if you wait for the block to get to a level surface like it is right here, and then you break it with water. So we're waiting on the water to come out. Now if we notice, the blocks all come dropping and go floating around. No more pollution in there. Well, that's interesting. That means you can collect them. Well, we've known that for a while. At least it was noticed and said in the Discord a while back that you can do this. So what I'm doing is we have a kind of a water washing system back here that is running over this little area that, like I said, this is where we've been collecting things. And I am using an absorption hopper just because I can use an absorption hopper, but you could do that with just regular hoppers. I mean, you could just feed a water stream up through, feed a bunch of hoppers underneath here and collect everything up and put them into some bins. So I've been doing this for a little while. Long enough that I have managed to use up all of the carbon pollution that I had in this area. The carbon pollution, there's three different types of pollution, so I guess we can kind of talk about this for a minute here. Carbon. There's three different types of pollution, and it's just basically the amount of pollution that is in the block. A 0 is a single, there is 2 and a 1, and there's 3 and a 2. I know it's just 0, 1, 2, that's just how it works. And this is after the pollution has been allowed to combine when it's either sitting in like a roof up there or down here if it just happens to combine. And that's why we have 3 sulfur pollutions down here plus one of these over here that's nice and full. And I've been kind of fooling around with this. We're still not quite set up the way that I want it to be, but I figured I would at least kind of start showing off some of the system. So we'll start with the carbon side. The carbon side, we have a item duct coming out of the top of all of those carbon bins, and they're all going into the recycle sides into a block placer. So what happens is this block placer, as soon as it gets any bit of pollution, especially the carbon pollution, it will immediately place it right back down in the world, and then this cobblestone pump picks it up and sends it back into the recycling system. And that means, honestly, that at this point I could just put this over here because I can transport the pollution if I want to. Any block that will toss a block into the world will work just fine. So even a dispenser or dropper will work, because basically what happens is it just takes the block, tosses it into the world, kind of like that, and then because the pollution will automatically reset itself back into a normal block, it'll form the block and then set it back up. Yeah, there's a little bit of noise because it's trying to place more than 1 or 2 at a time when it gets one, but in this area I'm not getting a lot of pollution. We've worked through a bunch. I had, I don't know, 5 or 6, probably 4 or 5,000 carbon pollution a day or 2 ago, and it's just been slowly working through it to where there's no backlog now. It's just as it gets any kind of pollution, it just sends it into whichever side over here. So like in this area, same idea. We're just delivering the pollution, delivering the carbon pollution, and then it's just being put back into the system and being utilized. And it's helped quite a bit, actually. So We'll go upstairs, go up here one more time, and we can see, like I said, it's just there's a kind of a little stream of stuff going on. Factory's off right now. It caught up with all of its stuff, and we're just doing a few things. So I don't know if I showed this in the last episode. I got rid of the pumpkins. They're doing just perfectly fine for the production of seeds over there, but the problem is a managed farm, or especially a pumpkin farm like that, doesn't eat pollution. It's not eating the carbon pollution. So I had a big patch of carbon pollution right here, and it wasn't getting utilized. So I went ahead and replaced it with wheat, mainly because wheat makes a bunch of seeds, and we can burn wheat in the biogenerators over here. So I am collecting the wheat seeds over the wheat over here, and the seeds are going over to the other side over there. I have still a gigantic backlog of pumpkins, but it's going to be a while before we'll use those up, so no big deal. So, all right, that is an interesting thing. Now, if you notice down here again, we have a bunch of sulfur pollution, and there's a item duct heading that direction, and that item duct heads out to a new building that we have over in the sulfur plant. This was a kind of a thing that I was goofing around with in a test world, and I knew that I could sort out all of the pollution. I knew that there was a way to do, this thing. I knew that this was a thing. What I didn't know is the mechanics for sulfur pollution when it comes to creating polluted water. Because if we're out in the world and you happen to have an ocean, like say we've got an ocean or a lake or something like this, and if there's enough sulfur in the air and it rains, it'll drag that sulfur pollution down and make polluted water. So what I was going to do actually was I was going to sort all that stuff out, and then I was going to build a little tank somewhere and then just have it rain on it. Because, I mean, during the summer times, I don't care if it rains. The winter times is kind of annoying, but yeah, until I kind of goofed around with something and found out something else. So we've got a new building to play with and a new thing to kind of come over here and take a look at. And I don't know why that block is missing. In the sulfur production, of course, sulfuric acid, and creeper acid production building, of course, this is something that's been messing around with for a while. I did go ahead and finally get it hooked up to the applied energistic system. It only needed one channel because all I really need to do is just drag over, all I really needed to do was just drag over the iron. And the funny thing that I found was the thing that's going on right here, and this is off. Good deal. The sulfur pollution, if it falls in water, it'll create polluted water. But if it floats up into a surface block of water that's staying here, it will create polluted water. Now, the reason why we're not creating polluted water over in this thing is because the water is allowed to flow prior, after the pollution gets up here. So we can go take a look at this real quick, and I'll just kind of explain it. Notice how the pollution is sitting here, and then the water flows into it to break it. If this water was here all the time, and this is how I discovered that if, sulfur pollution floating up into water will create polluted water, is that when I was originally trying to figure out how to break this stuff, I had a pool of water across the backside and a bunch of sulfur got into it and made polluted water. And it's like, oh, light bulb moment, we can do something about that. So in this system over here, what we're doing is we're using a little bit of convoluted redstone technologies to detect when we have the change from regular water to polluted water. And unfortunately, the only way I can do that is with an observer, because there's no scanner block and there's no liquid block detector. It has to be a tank. So what I'm doing is I'm using a observer into a repeater with 4-tick delay into a toggle bus, so that this can absorb the couple of things. There's a couple of things that happen here when this goes on. We'll turn the switch on and you'll see, but there's a couple of things that happens. When the water, the funny thing is it doesn't detect, it doesn't see when the pollution block rises to the surface. It doesn't see that change because technically the water block is still there. What happens is it detects when that water block turns into a pollution block, and it emits a quick tick pulse, which flops that toggle bus over, that then tells this dispenser that has a bunch of buckets in it to pick the water or the polluted water bucket up. When it does that, it will tick this again. Well, because that all happens in about the same amount of time, that repeater has yet to burn itself out. The thing is there's just enough time afterwards that when the water flows back in, it ticks again, which resets the toggle bus. Because of the way observers are, they're very, very quick to work. They tick very quickly, and there's not any other kind of block detector that we have. There's nothing in this pack as far as being able to detect any kind of other block detectors. An observer is the only thing that does that. Now, I played around with an immersive engineering pump, and an immersive engineering pump works perfectly fine if the entire pool or the entire area is polluted water. So in order to be able to work with this with an immersive engineering pump, you would still have to detect when there is a polluted water bucket there so that the pump could then be toggled on to pick it up. But the thing is the pump doesn't really care about what block it picks up. It picks up any of the blocks. It doesn't necessarily just pick up the block underneath. And I need to have a continuous, everlasting water pool or whatever it is, an infinity water pool here to make this system work. Now you can use there is a water gate, or let me see, gate something. There's something in immersive that I can use to, if I can spell, there is something in immersive you can use to place down water, and if I can see it real quick, it's that thing right there. Fluid outlet will allow you to place down water, but the thing is, again, it's kind of a, if you detect this incorrectly with a pump, it will pick up a bucket of water, the water, and then you won't have any place to put the water. So I went with a bucket scheme because we have this fluid unloader, and Golrith was so kind enough to add a recipe for the polluted water buckets in the fluid unloader, and this is why. So we're gonna that's basically how this whole system works on top. So on the bottom, and I have yet to make an access in here, I have several block placers set up down here, and we're pumping the pollution into the block placer, and I'm using limited filters just to keep a little bit of stuff in these. I don't want to blow them completely full. We're using a timer that is set for a 10-second delay that goes into a pulse former that then fires every one of these guys. They fire upwards into they place the blocks upwards into this little kind of a glass tank, and then we have the cobblestone pumps from the chimneys mod attached to chimneys that then deliver the pollution straight up. That will then basically deliver the pollution up. So on every single corner, of course, we have some dispensers that are full of buckets with two systems going on here. I have an extraction or a servo that is pulling out the regular polluted water buckets, and I've just got them blacklisted for regular empty buckets. And then I have a filter over here that is stating I want you to put buckets back in and keep just 16 in each one of these things. And so far, I haven't had one pick up a bucket of water. So far, I don't know. It's one of those you kind of keep fooling around with it. But anyhow, so that whole system basically takes the pollution, puts it back into the world. The pumps then pump it up and send it up into the area where it can be transformed into polluted water. Are you still with me at this point? Okay, well, hopefully you still are, because the next fun part is because there are 3 different types of pollution, each one has a certain amount of pollution in it. So this is 1 bucket of polluted water. This is 2, and this is 3. And it can take quite a while to process the one with 3 in it. It can take upwards of 30 seconds to get all 3 of those buckets out. So that's why I'm also checking on the outputs of every single one of these detection systems. Every single time, excuse me, the dispenser fires, I am going to then emit a signal down into this redstone wire that resets that clock, and that happens on all 4 sides. I have 4 in here because I have a lot of backlog that I'm going to have to process, and if I do go ahead and make a whole bunch more coal coke, it's probably not a bad idea to have 4. You could probably get away with just 1 of these systems set up. So it is, I'm just doing this because I have a lot of backlog and I may end up tearing it out. It's still not exactly 100% great because the lagginess and the fact that this world is getting pretty ugly as far as that is concerned. I occasionally have to come over here and monitor it. But once I get to where that backlog is mostly used up, it's not a problem. So this absorption hopper is here because of said lag. Occasionally, and this is the occasional problem, if I can get back out of this hole and put that block back because I think we're done down there. Occasionally, I can have a block of pollution here, if the world slows down or something happens, that will get washed or broken as the water is coming back in. Just Minecraft, just because of how Minecraft works. So I've kind of been able to recontain that stuff. It'll pick it back up and put it back into the system. And because that absorption hopper is very close to those block placers, it will get priority over what's going on in the tree farm area. So, all right, we'll explain the rest of this system. This is the output bin. This is where the buckets of polluted water go. Of course, the buckets of polluted water go into this bucket unloader or the fluid unloader, and then once it unloads the buckets, it puts them into this bin. And I have a whole lot of buckets from the mob farm, so I just brought them over here. That then takes the polluted water, puts it into this tank. We have some fluid ducts that then dump the polluted water into this chemical plant. And of course, if you don't know how this system works, we can do one of these, which is a chemical plant in here. It takes a bucket, one whole bucket of polluted water, and a partial piece. Sometimes it uses this gas filter, sometimes it doesn't, and it gives us sulfur and 300 or 750 millibuckets of water, or 3/4 of a bucket of water. So I am piping filters in from the main system, and I have, I don't know, right around 4 or 5 stacks of that stuff because of the mob farm. I have yet to automate the filters, but I will, and it makes sulfur. This is like funny, but it's free sulfur. I don't have to process any kind of oil products to get it. I mean, the only thing I have to do is run the factory, so I guess I'm processing oil products to get it, but every bit of sulfur pollution that I had prior to now was a complete waste of sulfur. Now I'm going to take every bit of that sulfur pollution that I had coming out of this factory and make sulfur out of it. Which means I'm going to use a lot less oil again. So we've gone to where we're doing 2 processes now that we don't need any oil anymore. So like I said, when we did the yellow sciences, I quit making the solid fuel. Yes, we're going to need solid fuel for the moon and the spaceship kind of stuff, but yeah, no, I'm down to now where if I can just keep this rolling, that's a lot of free sulfur. And like I said, even 300 and some odd of the, the third type, or the condensed sulfur, is 3 buckets. So that's 900 sulfur. So yeah, anyhow, I will turn the system on, which is what this lever does. And like I said, it's kind of, right now it's a kind of a babysitting process, because the heavy duty, the combined, what is it, the sulfur, this stuff, that one right there, can be a little finicky because the water can transform faster than that observer can see it. And it's just one of those, if I had a scanner bucket, there we go, scanner bucket, so we go tick, 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 tick. And it broke those, that's fine, I don't really care. Are we still working? That one picked it up, that one picked it up, that one picked it up. That one's broken, I gotta flick the lever. Come on. There, it changed. You can just barely see the difference when it changes. So there we go. You can just see the little fluid line that shows up, and there's going to be one more right there that does it. And away we go. And we should have several buckets of stuff, which again, like I said, this guy unloads the buckets, he puts them over here, and this makes me some more sulfur. It's a little, like I said, it's a little, at this point in time, I'm trying to work through all of the backlog of the 3s, and the 3s are fairly rare, so they'll only be one of those that'll show up occasionally. But, and I don't know why it occasionally doesn't want to fire all of them. Those vents are capable of picking up every single block in that area, so sometimes the vent's going to grab 2 blocks and put it down in front of the same system, and then it works through it. That's why we have a sensing timer system in here that happens off of that dude, so it knows every time it does it to reset the timer. So it's one of those. Could this be done early game? Yes, especially, and this is the funny thing, can you do this early game? It has been proven and shown that once you have access to hoppers and a small amount of redstone, you can do this early game. Right here, you can wash this stuff and store it in bins or whatever. Uh-oh, we have a bunch of things coming. Whatever. You can store it in bins, you can do things like that, or you can then use it to move other deals around. And like I said, a dispenser will just drop the block in the world. So you can just drop the block in the world and it will, you know, float up where it needs to go. I would go grab a handful, but it immediately changes as soon as I get it into my inventory. So let's go back over here and just see if we're still functioning. Yeah, it does. Are you working? Did you pick it up? No. It's just because the world is kind of pretty well ticky right now. I'm still having lots of problems with TPS, but it is doing what I need it to do. So, and since we got the large bins, we're going to be able to do a little bit more fun with it. But yeah, I've got no need at all anymore to wash filters. Except for the ones that happened out in the world, I don't have to wash filters anymore, so that's kind of awesome. I'll have to kind of keep an eye on this once I work through the backlog, that 300 and some odd backlog of the larger blocks. That system will work just perfectly fine. So, alrighty then. There has been some changes, and I'm kind of waiting on the update, which is going to make me have to continue using the yellow cake in this guy for, you know, because of the fact that apparently we're not supposed to be doing what I'm doing over here. I'm going to just cheese it and run it as much as I possibly can, but, you know, it is what it is for now. I'm assuming that by the time this goes out today or tomorrow, whenever this is, that will be fixed, but apparently the discussion here about the yellow cake, you're supposed to be processing yellow cake in order to get the uranium-238, so sad times, whatever. I don't really think we've done much of it. Oh, yeah, actually, we have done a few things over here. We need to go check this one out real quick. We researched... we researched and unlocked the ultimate bins, and I have since replaced a lot of the larger... Holy cow, guys, seriously. Where is it? Hostile creatures. Please turn down. There you go. I have since replaced a bunch of the bins that were quite full with, yeah, and I got to do that too. I've got a full ultimate bin of arrows and a full ultimate bin of gunpowder, and I will probably be doing another ultimate bin very shortly for the gunpowder, but we put a bunch of ultimate bins out here, and I've been just you know, getting rid of these as we need them, so... Alrighty, so that's been fun. I got a bunch of that stuff sorted out. I want to come over here and research some stuff. The flowers keep growing. You guys quit doing that. I want to research some things because of the fact that we got most of this tab finished, and I'm probably going to be working on doing this one here very soon. The osmotitanium alamide steel got me the ability to do the beginnings of nanotechnology, which basically was a checkmark box. That allows me to start getting into some of these machines. These are not terribly impossible to make, but I do want to kind of start down this chain. So, I want to start down here because in order to get any more good stuff with applied energistics, I need to be able to open these up. And if we look here, it's crusher and enrichment chamber, ore processing, and this is just the thing down. So I would like to research the enrichment chamber and the crusher. So that is 50 of red, green, blue, and yellow, and 50 of red, green, blue, and yellow. So we can do both of those. So boop, 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 and boop, boop, and get those open. So that's the crusher. Claim. Hello. There we go. And the enrichment chamber. So enrichment chamber, we all know how these guys work. Awesome. Now, this is one of those, this is basically the enrichment chamber is going to replace all of the crushers that I have over in the processing area over there. I can use that to replace all of them. They're rather expensive and rather slow. They're rather expensive on power and they're very slow until you start speeding them up. And we only have the ability to make speed upgrades. So we'll probably be running crushers for a while, at least for right now. All right, energized smelter. This would be kind of nice, but let's see what this is. 100 of the red, green, blue, and yellow. Let's do that one. How much do we have now? Do that again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Raw ore can be purified with oxygen or flint to create ore clumps, resulting in 3 times ore processing from a single block of ore. Blah, yeah, this gets us the mechanism purification chamber. Sweet. 4 times processing, 150 of all of these. And again, it's advancing on the idea of purification chamber. The chemical injection chamber uses more complex gases to produce 4 times more processing. So a bunch more of that stuff. How much do we have now? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Detect. Excellent. Now we're doing 4 times ore processing, more gases, more fluting, more things and stuff like that. And there's a reason why I'm going down this track. And the reason why I'm going down this track is once we get this one opened up, I think we'll be able to see it. So a bunch of this. So 1, 2, 3. Probably still have plenty in it right now. Do we have some more blue? Blue, 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 blue. Okay. And research. I need a little bit more of everything. And push the button. Detect. Really? I still need a little bit more yellow? Awesome. Okay, give me some more. All right. By liquefying ore, washing out the impurities, and crystallizing the results so that you can achieve 5 times ore processing. The ore crystals may also have other uses. Right there. That's very important. It also provides a chemical dissolution chamber, chemical washer, and the chemical crystallizer. Now, why do I even care? Ooh. I think we need the thermal evap, if I remember correctly. We're going to need to get the thermal evaporation tower opened up, so let's go ahead and do that too. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I think that actually required some purple. And I think I need more than that. Detect. Yes. Claim. Salt. We need salt in order to be able to do the 5 times ore processing problem. So let's go ahead and put these all back. That got everything excited. Put the blue back. Blue, and do I have any left in here? I did. Doot. Did I get all of them? Give me the blue. So, blue, that, and that. Okay. Now, the discussion here. This whole line, and yes, I will be researching this very shortly because this is a magical block that we're going to need before we go to the moon. So, I might start working down this chain as well, just so that we can get some of this stuff, this other cool stuff going on, and that also got me access to those things. Oh, how much time do we have? Okay, no, we're just going to have a discussion on this. Because we have applied energistics opened up, that should, with the 5 times ore processing, allow us to do the next part of it, which is digital crafting and advanced digital storage. Wow. How much do I have left? We're not going to have anything left after this. Detect. Come on. You need to scroll down. I don't have enough blue, probably. Detect. Yay. Auto crafting. Thank you. And digital storage. Just get as much of that detected as possible. Go ahead and detect all that. Come on. Almost all of it. So you... just get as much of these done as possible. So a little bit more blue, red, and green. Do it again. Provides access to smart cables, level emitters, which this I think is a problem because the dense smart cables, level emitters, and all of that stuff is currently accessible. So this may be something we need to either look at, Golrith, or I don't know because I've got access to all of that right now. But that gets me a crafting terminal. which means no more dealing with the work tables. And that also gets me access to the 4K drives, which the 4K drives require iron crystals, which are made in a chemical crystallizer with clean iron slurry in a chemical washer with iron slurry in a chemical dissolution chamber with iron ore and sulfuric acid. So now I have access to all of this fun stuff. I can make all of the crafting thingies that I want. I can make molecular assemblers, which again, not terribly impossible to do, although I will have to automate these things for that, which are only automatable in Advanced Assembler. Whatever. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I think we're good to go. I think I'm going to go ahead and put all this stuff away. Give me all of these and make sure the inventory is empty. And we can run over here and take one more look at this and just make sure it's not completely broken. It's probably got all kinds of stuff messed up in it now. I'm going to have to babysit this for a while until this all goes away. But because of that 5 times ore washing process, I can now utilize a considerable more amount of sulfuric acid. So we will be looking at doing various other changes to the base. But yeah, cool. All right, guys, I think that's going to be good enough for right now. I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully we're going to have a whole bunch of cool applied energistic stuff to play with after that. And we'll start looking at the moon. We'll start looking at the moon, I think, pretty soon, because 1,000 of everything, which I've already done the military for. So we'll have to be looking at that probably in a very short amount of time, because we need a lot of osmium and we need a lot of unusual ore to continue with that process. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.